we will link together as one force, continuing to serve always. This is the Brotherhood Academy Radio Podcast.
Volunteer firefighters, Academy, fight for a dying breed. Brotherhood Academy, Brotherhood Academy Radio.
All right, welcome back to the Brotherhood Academy Radio Podcast. And this is not a solo episode because who's back?
Paul Balentine's here.
Boom, look at that. So, Paul, let's start this off with Chief Miller. Have you ever checked out Chief Miller?
Oh, yes. I've been watching him on Facebook.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Facebook, Instagram.
I've seen him on there, too, yes.
Yeah, Twitter. So he's one of our sponsors, and he's nice enough to share our content on his platforms, and everybody can check him out. He's got 3 different Instagram accounts. Did you know that?
I did not know he had 3 of them.
So he's got his main one, Chief_Miller_. And then he has one that showcases his apparel, his shirts, hats, all that good stuff. And that's at Chief Miller Apparel on Instagram. And then his third one showcases the podcasts that he sponsors. So that's at Chief Miller Media. So you can check him out on all 3 of those accounts. He's on Facebook, facebook.com/ChiefMiller1. He's on Twitter at Chief let me rephrase that, Chief_Miller_. And then his website, chiefmillerapparel.com. So you should check that out because he's got some really cool shirts on there, really cool hats, good stuff like that.
Wow, he sounds like a busy guy.
He is a busy guy. He does a lot of content. He reposts a lot of content, a lot of training stuff, fire trucks, which we both love.
I like fire trucks.
Fire trucks, yes. Fire trucks always make me much happier. It's like chocolate. Chocolate solves everything, and so do fire trucks.
Yeah.
So, and then the next new sponsor, which we're going to start debuting on social media, is Smith's Leather Balm. Smith's Leather Balm is made in York, Maine, in the same town that we're sitting in right now recording this. And it's like a all-natural leather balm to bring the life back into anything leather, as far as your straps, your radio straps, your boots, anything good like that. Even a natural leather fire helmet. I don't know if it would work so much. It would definitely clean a painted leather helmet for sure, but as far as penetrating into it, you may not be able to do that. But with the leather, the natural leather, you probably have really good luck. So it's all natural. It's got 3 ingredients. You took a look at it yesterday, gave it a good smell. It smells like chocolate, right?
It smells good, yeah.
Yeah, so it's got almond oil, it's got cocoa butter, and beeswax. That's it.
I'm going to try it on my leather boots.
Yes.
I'm excited to try it.
Yes, definitely. And all you got to do, you just put a little bit of it on your thumb, and you just kind of just massage it in.
Cool.
Nothing to it. And then when you're done, you don't have to wash your hands. You just rub it into your skin, and it moisturizes your skin, and it makes it smell good.
That's good.
So what we're going to do with that is Shane Smith, who owns it, him and his wife pretty much just make it right in their kitchen, literally. They fill all the tins right on their dining room table.
Wow.
They put the labels on themselves, and they ship them out, right, all from home.
It's pretty cool stuff.
It is. So,
local business is
yes.
good.
So he was nice enough to give us a box full of tins to give away. So we're going to start thinking about some giveaways to do on Instagram and on Facebook. And along with that, he gave us a T-shirt and a few other little magnets and whatnot. So we'll do several different things. We'll come up with some cool ideas. And also, we got our stickers in. So you saw those yesterday.
Yeah, those were
Gave
great.
you a handful of those. So I think what we'll do to sweeten the pot is when we'll do the giveaways, we'll throw some stickers in. And if you also want to purchase some stickers, they're $3. Pretty reasonable. I think that's the going price on the podcast circuit for stickers these days. And it's been like a huge thing. You see everywhere. Everybody's collecting everybody's stickers. So you could check that out at our website, brotherhoodacademyradio.com. I set up a little store there. You can purchase a sticker. We'll mail it out to you, maybe put a little handwritten note. I don't know. We'll see. So that gets rid of the announcements.
All right.
Let's get into the topic. You had a topic you wanted to discuss.
So,
right?
I have a topic for team dynamics. One of the things that's super important when working with a team is what I like to call being in step. We're primarily interested in the fire service, but this has applications for any team sport or leadership type areas that you want to delve into. But we have, when you work with a team over and over again, the team dynamics and everybody's on the same page, so to speak, it means you're in step. You go to an incident, and with a limited amount of communication, things are able to happen because you've worked together so much, and expectations are understood ahead of
Right.
time.
Right.
It's really, really nice, and I can think of a bunch of guys here in York that when we work together, it always seems like we're in step, and things always, if that crew is on the scene together, things always fall into place.
Yeah, it's clockwork. You don't
Like
really
clockwork.
have to be giving anybody orders.
Nope.
And
everybody knows what needs to be
yeah.
done.
Right.
That's really nice. How do we get there is an important part of being in step. How do you
Right.
get to that point?
And I'm sure there's a lot of agencies out there that haven't quite gotten there yet.
No, and that's
You know.
what we're going to explore that
Yeah.
today, and see if we can help other places. Maybe give you the secret to our success in that regard.
Okay.
One of the first things that is super important when it comes to like having your crew be in step is to train together.
Yes.
Regular training is so important for that to happen.
Now, I think what's worked well for us is we train every week.
Every week is the way to go.
Right. And I'm seeing a lot of departments that train maybe once a month. And
If
to
even
me,
that.
to me, that's unacceptable. If you want to be successful in anything you do with the fire department, I mean, there's so much more than just the training aspect that you get out of these weekly trainings. So, and one of them is, like you mentioned, being in step, being on the same page. So, yeah, I mean, it starts there. Absolutely.
So weekly training, that's our first thing, or regular training as a group to get so that we have clear expectations.
Right.
And that's probably the next building block with this is we need to have good leadership that sets clear expectations.
Yes, absolutely.
So leadership, that's one of the foundations of our podcast here, is influencing others to model a certain behavior. So
right.
we want to have strong leadership, and that leadership needs to set expectations for the guys. Firefighters under your command will perform any task that you want them to do so long as they understand what's expected of them.
Right. And on top of that, maybe I'm going ahead, but as well as what's expected, why you're doing it. And
Yeah.
I think that if people understand why, they're going to believe in what they're doing.
Right. I agree with that.
Right.
You're in step because you are on to the next one. And
Well then.
that's what we like to see with being in step is when we go to a fire is multiple tasks occurring simultaneously, and the officers being able to see the progression of an incident and see, okay, while we have an interior attack line going through the front door, probably the next step is either a backup line or a search or ventilation. Whatever looks like it needs to happen first, our officers are empowered to make that decision and follow that course of action.
And you know what that's letting us do as officers too, is it's allowing us to detach a little bit, because that's important as leaders to detach from the situation and have a better oversight of the bigger picture.
You're right.
Right.
Step back and look at what's happening,
Right.
and let's figure out what the most logical next step is.
Right.
We have a chief that doesn't micromanage or he doesn't micromanage on a fire scene at all. He's as far as dictating tactics, that usually falls to the officers. We kind of call the plays from the field, like a quarterback on a football field.
Absolutely.
And we're not generally told, take the attack line off the fire truck, stretch it out in the yard, flake it out, and take it to the front door.
And it's funny because you hear other chiefs in the area on the scanner that literally do that.
Yeah,
Literally.
yeah.
When you get here, take your Knox box key out and come to the front door, and then have your thermal imager ready and make sure you're masked up. It's like, what is this?
Let the officers run their crew.
Right.
The empowerment. That's off topic from being in step, but it's hugely on topic when it comes to leadership and
Well, empowerment and leadership are the two biggest core things on successful retention on your fire department.
Right,
I
right.
believe.
that might be another reason why we're not struggling with recruiting. And
That could be a whole other topic in itself, empowerment, which I think it should be someday.
yeah, I agree. as we get going on this, we always seem to find more and more things that are relevant to the subject matter and worth bringing to you guys to share with you.
Absolutely. So what's the next building block?
So we talked about training, regular training. We talked about empowerment. We talked about good leadership, setting expectations. From there, where do we go to put all this in play? Obviously, to back up a little bit, the training has to be is dynamic. So you got to get out in your response area and do things. You know, this isn't as good in a classroom, so you got to get out there.
Well, people want to learn hands-on.
Right.
PowerPoints are abused.
Yeah, death by PowerPoint.
You know, they want to see it, they want to touch it, they want to feel it. And I think you bring up a good point, having that dynamic training. Don't rely on sitting at a table in front of everybody with a screen behind you.
Right.
You know,
scenarios,
put a little bit of work into it.
Tabletop scenarios are good. We use them in the wintertime when we can't get outdoors.
Right.
But now, spring is sprung in Maine, so we are out and about, and we have an acquired structure. So we're doing
Again,
another acquired structure, which is absolutely invaluable training, and we're going to utilize that over the course of the next month or so to get out there and do some stuff.
I'm excited about that.
It's good stuff. So
Dynamic training.
So dynamic training, to rehash the point, the training has to be there. Good training. Ask for help if you don't feel like you have somebody strong in your department to run that training. Ask for help. There's probably somebody in your neighboring department or somebody nearby that would be glad to come over and kind of jumpstart your training program.
Absolutely.
So,
we take advantage of that from time to time.
I love to play an away game once in a while. It's nice to get out of town.
Yeah.
And I know the guys in York are probably sick of listening to me, but when somebody from out of town comes and they're throwing out the same message, I think it reinforces it better than if they hear it from me or you every single week.
Yeah, absolutely.
So expectations, all right, super important. Setting expectations. The fire chief or chief officers set the culture of their department, and so what they expect that all has a trickle down effect. SOGs and SOPs play into that. So knowing your expectations, some of that's set forth in SOPs and SOGs, some of it's set forth in organizational culture, and some of it is just your personal experience with the organization. What is right and wrong in your department. So then, again, the next one is we empower people to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. Let them do their job.
And don't micromanage it.
Right. Right.
So those are the three biggest things that I can come up with off the top of my head.
Yeah. No, they're all solid, really, and you can work off of those. I mean, you can refine them. Getting into the training, I mean, like you said, having out-of-town people come in, but I like when we do an acquired structure burn, we bring in fire departments
we bring out-of-towners
all around,
in because we have an opportunity to share a wealth of knowledge with them.
Right.
We're very fortunate. The breadth of the knowledge that we have in our own department is anytime we can share that and try to help others improve that's what the fire service is all about. Is networking, sharing, collaborating, trying to help others get better.
And networking is going to help you, and it's going to help your fire department as a whole. Think about the conferences in the area. Like we went to Nick Hamill and I went to the Fools conference, the New England Fools. I think what they call it the spring training, or I can't remember what the exact title was. But there were guys from all over the country that came in and talked.
Did lectures, and it was
great
bunch of guys.
And you get to network, you get to meet new people, and then when you see them at fires, like there was a group of the South Berwick guys sitting at our table.
Oh, that's excellent.
And it wasn't a week later that we were at a fire with them.
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody that was at that table was at the fire. And
that's great.
It was really cool. You get to have that camaraderie, and you get to see what they do to stay in step.
Yeah, they that's a South Berwick, Maine fire is a neighbor department for us, a mutual aid department for us, and that's a department that we strive to stay on par with what they're doing because
Absolutely.
they really get it over there. The brotherhood is really strong there. They are an all call department. and they get it, and
They get guys on their trucks.
they put out they turn out help on a fire
Yeah.
ground, and so they're a department that we strive to, we're watching them and striving to be in step with what they're doing there.
Absolutely.
Great bunch of guys over there, and the relationship between our two departments goes back a number of years.
Oh yeah, it sure does.
To at least the 1970s.
Don't we have didn't the two generations before us, or maybe the one generation before us, steal their artwork or something? It was in our old rehab truck.
We
Kick and
have.
Ash. So there's that.
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
that
I
too.
don't know where that came from, but yeah,
Definitely South Berwick, though.
It was. They had a mural on one of their pieces of fire apparatus that was a mule kicking a building on fire, and it says kicking, and it's a mule, which is an ass. They call it, anybody that knows animals,
Yes.
a mule is an ass. So kicking ass, and it was it's a kicking ass. Anyway, that mural ended up in one of our.
Did it say ass or ash?
No, just it had just the mule on it. Just
Oh, okay.
back kicking.
Because they do have other murals. I have seen other artwork with them where it says maybe it's on their trucks, so it's not. So it's more PC.
Yeah,
It says kick and ash, but yeah.
I've seen that in a different department. I don't know if
Have
that's
ya?
South Berwick's. I know they had. I don't know. We'd have to ask.
We'll have to ask
We'd
him.
have to ask Nick Hamill.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, great bunch of guys over there. And then let me back up one step too. That
Sure.
Nick was talking about the New England Fools. For anybody that has not heard of the Fools, this is a great organization to get in touch with, and
They're all over the
follow.
country.
New
Everywhere.
England is our local chapter, and they cover the New England states. But the Fools stands for the Fraternal Order of Leatherheads Society, and they're a group of firefighters that like to drink beer, wear leather helmets, and are interested in preserving fire service traditions. Which
And they're paid guys, they're volunteer guys, on-call guys. And I think the greatest thing about that is they preach not to separate the paid guys versus the volunteers. Everybody's there to do the same job. And
Super important.
Yeah, that was reiterated that weekend when they first kicked it off.
Oh,
said,
they
"You got
did-
paid
they did.
guys. Oh yeah, there's paid guys. There's volunteers in here. We're all here to do the same job.
oh, that's great.
Oh yeah, it's great. It's
They're
needed.
a great bunch because they stand for all the things that we stand for. Leather helmets, firefighting, and of course we all love to have a few beers once in a while.
Absolutely. We were
so-
lucky enough to have something last night. Which
That was
really,
that was a great time for those of you who saw our group picture.
yeah, our first legit team meeting.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And
I
it was
enjoyed
productive.
myself. Yeah, it was pretty productive.
We wrote notes and everything. It was pretty good.
Despite the fact that we were crushing beer, we stayed pretty much right on.
We were
right
on task.
On task all night.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
that was great fun. I look forward to the next time we can get together and do it.
Hopefully soon.
yeah,
Hopefully within
geez,
the
I
next
hope
2
so.
Weeks. Just
Yeah,
make
that'd
it
be-
a regular thing.
that would be awesome.
Get our wives together and the kids. They can go off and play or whatever. And we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
sit
Send
and
the
discuss.
send the kids outside.
Yeah.
Let them go out and. My kids are into learning how to swing axes, so they're
I got a stack of firewood out back if they're really getting into it.
they're pretty into it. Yeah, they'll go out for an hour in the afternoon and swing axes, and
Nice.
they're busting up some plywood out in the yard. So
Perfect.
yeah, the training starts young.
Yep. So, what do you do how do you approach the situation when people have a differing opinion or vision and they're not in step? What's your suggestion for that? Because that does happen.
Yeah, it does.
What do you do?
It does happen. Well, I think most times when you are having a disagreement or having issues with not being in step, one of the major factors in that is a communication or a lack of communication.
And lack of sharing why, explaining why. I
And
think
so, communication is going to be the fundamental in almost any conflict.
Right.
They may not see what you see. If it happens to be on a fire scene and we're not in agreement on what tactics should be applied and why. It may be because of an experience thing
Mm-hmm.
or a lack of experience, but more often than not, it's a communication thing.
Yeah.
And we need to communicate what the importance is of.
Right.
We need to take a line in the front door. Well, hold on a minute. You haven't seen that the rear of the building is fully involved, and maybe going through the front door isn't the best course of action right now, or the fire's in the basement. I've done a 360. The fire's in the basement, but yet you still want to stretch a line in the front door. And a lot of times, just explaining that this is why we should do something different first.
Right.
Those are examples that come to mind right off the top of my head.
And as officers too, don't be afraid to accept another guy's thoughts on something.
That's huge.
If someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I think the fire is probably going to be in the basement, but maybe it's in the walls on the first floor," and you're like, "No, okay, well, maybe you should actually consider what he's thinking, consider what he's saying, and go investigate that."
Listening to your firefighters is absolutely crucial, because we all have that gut instinct that is so innate with firefighters, and
well, we're all Type A.
We are, like, probably 99% of us are Type A personalities, and so even as an officer, a boss, you need to look at the guys. And there's been times I can think of an incident in my full-time job where in the last couple of weeks that I was kind of out of answers, and so we had a team huddle in the hallway of the building that we were in, and I said, "Okay, let's what next? Where do we go from here?"
Right. You're not going to ever have all the answers. And that's the dichotomy of being a leader, is you want to show the way, you want to direct the way, you want to show your experience, but at the same time, you're not going to have all of the answers.
We're not all
That's
perfect.
when you reach out to your guys below you. Hey, what do you think?
Yeah. So we talked about it, and we came up with some ideas, and it was a team approach, as it should be, because firefighting is the ultimate team sport. So we put our heads together, and what's better than one firefighter? 6 firefighters.
Yep.
So obviously everything came to a successful conclusion, but it was because of the team sport. And you can't be afraid as the officer to solicit input
Absolutely.
or take input if it's being offered by a firefighter. You could have firefighters in your department that have 30 or 40 years, and you could be. I know that there's many young fire officers in our audience that have less than 5 years on the fire department,
Right.
and they're supervising guys with 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to tap those guys as a resource.
Hell yeah.
And use them, because you'd be surprised at what those guys will offer if they're asked. A lot of them are quiet, unassuming, and they won't volunteer much, but if you start prodding them a little bit, they become a wealth of information for you.
And what does that do for them? That gives them a good
It
feeling.
gives them-
You're empowering them.
Absolutely.
And now they have some buy-in to the situation, and everybody's going to get on step that way, too.
Yeah, that's another way of being in step. Certainly helps to be in step with common goals and common beliefs. Again, we all have, different experiences, we're a diverse bunch of people. But we come together because we have a love for firefighting, and this is what we do. And so that's one of the ways that we come together and are in step, is that we have common goals and common interests. Our
Right.
guys love to work.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that we have in common. And you'll see our guys at a fire are always smiling because they're all happy to be there. And we're certainly not there for the paycheck, because that's non-existent at this time.
Right
But
now. Yeah.
For now, we're headed there. We're headed in the call pay direction. But
Yeah.
But for now, and I am proud to say that we do it on a volunteer basis, as much as it's frustrating to not be a call paid department as many are around us.
We're getting there, though.
There is one part of me that is proud to say we do it for free. But anyway,
Just remember that paycheck is not, it's an incentive, but it's a temporary incentive, because after a while you start to expect it.
right, sure.
We don't want to dive into that and think, oh, well, now we're a call department, so all our guys should be showing up and they should be happy and this and that. But
It's not the end all be all.
Nope.
We understand that in
Stick
the
with the
research.
basics.
Yeah, in our research that we've conducted, it says that you'll have a boost in responding personnel in the short term, but it typically is only for the short term.
Right.
And so, like Nick was saying, we have to resort to our tried and true tactics for recruitment and retention, which is good leadership, empowering your people, making them feel wanted. Take care of your people, because they're your number one resource.
Right. I think with the common goals and beliefs kind of goes into not just on the fire ground, but also as a department as a whole. Like, where are you going? What direction is this department going?
Yeah, sure.
Because I feel like sometimes you can get that internal tension within your organization if you have certain people that have a different vision for your fire department than the officers and the chiefs do. And as officers, you need to make sure that your guys are in step with where you're heading and why you're doing it this way. Why are we just doing call pay? Why are we not going full time? Why are we, when it comes to buying fire trucks, why are we replacing 2 trucks with 1 truck? All these certain things, you got to make sure that everybody's on board with it and everybody understands why, so that they can believe in the decisions that are being made.
Communication.
So,
it comes down to communication from the top
Absolutely.
down. This is what's going on, and clear expectations. This is what we expect, and we as an organization need to do better about holding members accountable. We haven't done that well over the last however many years.
Yeah.
And we're struggling a little bit with our training right now. Our training attendance is lackluster.
Yep. It has been.
So we're working towards that. We have to do a little better with that.
And it's good that we've understood that and we've noticed that. And we need to boost up what we're doing for training. We need to come up with more creative things. And by the way, I've got some ideas for that house that we have.
That's great, because we need some help.
And it comes down to doing the basics of basics at the same time, I mean, one of the thoughts I have was just ventilating the house. Let's just fill that thing with smoke.
Yeah, okay.
And have the guys ventilate it.
I think that's
It's a thing we do all the time on calls, burnt food, chimney fires, or whatever you've got. And
we don't always do it.
We don't do it the right way.
We don't always do it perfectly.
Right.
I'm kind of a nut on positive pressure ventilation, and we don't always. It's not always applied correctly. Kind of a pet peeve of mine.
Right. So my thought is, you empower the members on a training night. We fill the thing with smoke. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Ventilate it.
Yeah.
And we stay hands off.
Yeah.
And,
Sure.
And when they're done with it, we'll tell them what they did right, what they did wrong, get their input on things, how they were thinking when they were doing it. Just simple things like that. It's going to get your members thinking. And if you can get your members using their heads and creating tactics on their own to get to that common goal of ventilating the house, and then we give our thoughts
that's a
on
great idea.
Yeah. I was thinking an oven fire. I mean, geez, like the house that we have, by the way, it's immaculate. The carpet is brand new. Literally,
really
it still
nice.
has the plastic runners on the carpet.
It's really nice.
I can't believe it. The stove is better than the stove we have here in the house. So
Yeah. any of us guys would move right in there in a heartbeat.
Oh, you bet. But an oven fire. I mean, how many of these calls do we go to where you get, think about this, where you get a fairly new guy who's showing up, because we take our POVs to calls, to an oven fire. A newer guy is on scene with a fire in an oven. All right, what are they going to do? They know what they're going to need to do.
Right. Absolutely.
Do they have an extinguisher with them? What do they have for tools that are handy? So if we just set a little oven fire in that house,
I think that's a good idea, actually.
I think we do a lot of room and content stuff. We burn pallets, we burn hay, we smoke things up to do searches, which is all stuff that's important and critical to do. But if you think outside the box and get your members thinking, get your younger, newer guys thinking and problem solving for themselves, then we jump in after and say, you did good, this is where you need to improve, this is how we usually do it. Now everybody's getting in step. They're wanting to take that initiative. They're going to be self-starters on calls. And then that's going to get you what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast is you get on a fire scene, we all seem to know what needs to be done.
Yeah, we make it happen.
So to get the newer guys on board with that, I believe that if we did some simple training,
Yeah, no, I like that. I think that training is, that sounds great. I find myself getting stuck in a rut once in a while when you're trying to plan training and trying to make it meaningful for people. And we haven't been the best at organizing that lately,
Right.
and our attendance has kind of suffered a little bit. So we got to get that back. And
Right.
and,
I think the only challenge you're going to run into doing something simple like that is your senior members are going to be kind of bored with it.
that's
All
been our comment about training
Yeah. So
for a number of years, is that we do really well with the younger guys, the brand new people, but we haven't done well with
Very true.
with the 5 to 10 year guys.
Right.
And we're trying not to make the training too complicated, but
Right.
maybe we need to I know, I've been racking my brain for a solution, trying to come up with what's a happy medium.
Well,
for, satisfies the training requirements for the brand new people, but also keeps the mid-level firefighters engaged as well.
Right. Well, as leaders, we want to train people to be leaders. We should always be thinking about that, thinking about passing the torch down for years to come.
Succession planning.
So, my thought to that is there's two things we could do. You either put them in charge of the simple training.
Right.
You
right.
run it. You set the fire in the oven. Whatever. You create the scenario. There's one option. Another option is split them up and do a different training.
Yeah, that's another thing we've done well with that training is having stations.
Yeah.
We call it having stations, and they rotate through. The only problem with that is you got to minimize the stand around time.
Yes.
With stations is
Right.
make sure that their individual stations are similar in the time it takes to get through an individual station.
Right. Well, you don't want to be wasting people's time.
No, that's critical
time is
because
valuable.
time is valuable for all of us, and we want to make that training be meaningful training so that people want to come and be a part of it.
Absolutely. I'm going to check my Instagram only because I want to start doing this, listeners. I put a thing on my story on the Instagram saying, ask us anything because we're going to be doing a podcast. And I've got 7 messages, but no questions. That's fine. That's fine. So in the future, what we want to start doing too, I've thought about this. We've done it a couple of times when we've sat down together is ask us questions, ask us for advice. And then we'd be happy to answer it. I don't know. Sorry, I got off topic.
No, that's
I just
all
thought
right.
about
That's
that because I was
important.
like, I don't want to forget to because I did throw that out there. One thing, I have a bunch of messages because what I like to do is on Instagram, anybody that follows me, I like to send them a quick direct message thanking them for following. I try to get to everybody within 24 hours, but I've had an uptick in followers lately, and after 24 hours, if I don't get to them, then I lose them in the notification section that they followed me. So, but I've been trying to get on that, and so I got a lot of interaction. But anyway, back on topic.
So well, I think that's the introduction on being in step. It's nice working with people that are on the ball. Always seem to be a step ahead of you on an incident. Like our officers are here, we're really good there. I'm proud to work with these guys, and our performance on the fireground, I think, speaks volumes of
Absolutely.
us being in step.
Right. I think it's important, too, on the fireground. It's very good to be in step, and it's very good for people to be in sync, but remember the people that aren't in sync when they're with you. You don't want to run too far ahead of them where they can't catch up. You don't want to get into things that they don't understand what's going on. So there's that dichotomy, too. It's good to be on step. You get a good, solid group of our guys. We're going in, you get a brand new guy with them. They're not quite sure what's coming next. So that's when you need somebody to kind of explain it to them.
Trying to make it a teacher. I try to make those
Absolutely.
scenarios like a teaching moment.
Any incident is a teaching moment, any one of them.
I agree.
More so when it's under control. I mean, because you're in a controlled environment. But even like as a pump operator, you get a newer guy that's not interior qualified yet. Let them, guide them. All right, come over with me. Grab the 5-inch over here. You're going to hook it over to this intake here. We're going to open it here. You can walk them through while you're doing it, and they're going to understand that.
Pumping water is fun. You got to pump water a couple weeks ago with the new truck.
Pumping water. Yeah, that was a good time. The South Berwick, man, they're like Jobtown right now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, a little fire this morning.
Yep.
A little smudgy smudge down there.
That page came in. I got the text, and I rolled over. I looked at it. I was like, oh, another structure fire, South Berwick. And Jen's like, you going to go? I was like, I might mosey onto the station. I started listening to him. I heard Joe kind of saying, on scene smoke showing, give me the working fire. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the station. Of course, I got there. No one else was there, and I'm sitting in my truck with the heat going, scrolling through Instagram and listening. And, they got it under control. So I turned around. And,
no surprise. Those guys would put, 20 guys on the fire
well,
ground down.
Did you listen to any of it at all?
No, I didn't get to listen to it this
First
morning.
engine signed on was 6. And the ladder
Beautiful.
truck signed on with 7.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
He scared the fire out.
At 5 in the morning. So, and then plus you had the mutual aid engines coming in on the automatic and stuff. So, yeah. They were heavy this morning.
Scared it out. That's what happens here a lot of times is I tell people, we scared the fire out just by putting the sheer number of people that show up. The fire just gets scared and goes out.
Right. No, it's like a car accident too. I mean, you get 12 to 13 guys in a car
I know,
accident,
I
which
know.
is just it's almost sometimes overkill. You want to be like, all right, you guys, we should probably maybe send some back to the station, but at the same time, you don't want to stifle that enthusiasm.
They're happy to be there, so you want them to keep doing it because
Yep.
I always laugh and joke at calls like that and say, well, there must not have been anything good on TV tonight at home, huh?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Or the wife and kids are driving you crazy, so the tone goes off.
or,
and you're
or dinner
chasing
sucked
calls.
and you wanted to get out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I think that's a great topic, and I think that we could even build upon that with future shows too. Being in step is definitely one of the biggest things that needs to happen in your organization. You have to have everybody on the same page. Everybody has to know why you're doing something, why a decision is made, why a certain piece of equipment is purchased over the other, why all the hose loads on all the trucks are the same, why the compartments are laid out the same, why are you doing it this way, how come the extinguishers are in this compartment as opposed to that compartment on this
Right.
truck. But there's whys, I mean, you got to have that communication. You got to open it up and explain it to everybody. You're going to get everybody on the same page. They're going to be happy to be there. They're going to feel some sense of ownership. When decisions are made without us, like if a decision's made without you, you kind of feel a little bit, in a way, a little bit like, oh, okay, well, I didn't really have any part in that, so.
Yeah, a little bit left out.
Yeah, a
but
little bit left
at
out.
the same time, I feel like, after 20 years or almost 20 years there, we got to let guys run with things,
Yep.
because I'm not there every single day like I'd like to be.
Right,
Right.
right. But you got your type A personalities that when decisions are made without them, they feel a little bit left out as opposed to, hey, we're going to be doing this. What are your ideas? What are your thoughts?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot when we were designing the new engine. Hey, I know you guys don't get to go out to Appleton. I know you guys don't get to have some fun with
We
this.
took
but-
some suggestions on that, and some guys had some really good suggestions. Some of them we were able to incorporate, and some of them
Right.
didn't really fit our vision for what we wanted to try to do.
But
with the
we
truck.
explained why, and when the truck backed into the station, they were like, "Oh, okay, well,
It
okay,
was,
that
I think
makes
most.
sense."
I don't think anybody's complaining about it. I think most everybody was happy with the new rig.
The ones that didn't have anything to say and didn't put any input into it, or said that, "Oh, we never asked," and they just, I think, we're denying that, are the ones that aren't happy with the truck.
Well,
And there's
it was-
only a handful.
I was going to say it was put out at a monthly meeting.
It was,
That,
yeah,
if
and that's the
anyone had
thing.
any suggestions
Yeah.
to deliver them to the chief
Right,
in writing.
Right. So, getting on that point too, if you are a firefighter and you're not in a leadership position, and you're given that opportunity to have some sort of say in a decision or being part of what the next step is in your organization, if you're given that opportunity, you damn well better take it and
Rise to the occasion.
better say
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
You better put in your thoughts, because if you don't, that's on you.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Totally on you.
Absolutely. You got to be assertive. You got to be a go-getter. You got to step up and lead.
Yeah, everybody can be a leader.
Yeah, even there's a lot of room for informal leaders in the fire service, particularly guys at the firefighter level.
Absolutely.
So that's an area that again, that's where we got our start as fire officers. We got started as young firefighters that were eager to make progress and contribute to the organization and make it a better place. And
Right.
that led to officer positions for us down the road.
But we were communicated to on where we were headed, what the goals were. We were informed on that and brought on board with it. So we agreed with it. We believed in it. And
shared vision
right,
makes
absolutely.
people in step.
Yep.
Shared visions.
Yeah. And if you have a differing vision, if you yourself don't believe or don't understand where your department is going, it's up to you to voice your thoughts in a mature, in a productive way.
In a constructive manner.
Not in a passive criticism, all that nasty stuff. You don't want to be doing that, but you want to be productive about it. I know in our agency, our department, when we have our officers meetings, that door is always open for people that want to come in with their ideas and their thoughts on something. And if you're leading a department, you better have that open door as well. But if you're also a member that differs, you got to speak up. You got to say something.
Yeah.
Because they're either going to listen to you and say, hey, that's, maybe we'll consider your idea, or they're going to explain to you why they're doing it a different way.
And the explanation, because we've always done it that way,
That's not acceptable.
isn't always acceptable. because I think
No.
in this day and age we need to definitely be taking a hard look at all the things that we do
Right.
as a fire department.
Now, don't confuse that with tradition.
Absolutely,
Two totally different
absolutely
things.
not. Tradition is important, but I think that again we need to take a hard look at what we're doing and why.
Mm-hmm.
Stay up with the times and
Smoothbore and leather helmets.
die hard. Smoothbore
Sorry.
nozzles and leather helmets.
That's the tradition.
A lot of things that like those are the fire service clearly is cyclical because the once famous leather helmets and smoothbore nozzles they went out and now that's all coming back.
Everything that mattered comes back.
Yeah, I don't think that 3/4 boots are coming back, but that would be pretty cool.
You had to
like
say that.
rubber coats and 3/4 boots.
Just
I mean,
totally
those are
burst my
pretty
bubble
cool.
on that one. However, you know me, I'm a light and siren guy. I'm a guru when it comes to that. What's coming back with the lights? The rotators.
Rotators. Oh, I
They're
love
not
it.
physical rotators, but they're coming back. The
that's-
style because
yeah.
people want that tradition. They want that
I
old
love
school
it.
look.
I love it.
So yeah, but you don't want to confuse tradition with moving forward and progressing in your fire department because progression is very important.
Yeah, it is.
Balanced.
It is. Yeah.
Balanced.
Tempered or balanced.
Right.
Tradition with progress.
Yep.
So yeah, don't just follow blindly. Try to figure out why we're doing things
Exactly.
the way we're doing them.
Exactly.
Hey, well, it's been on my mind since we've been sitting here. I think this might be an appropriate time to. I've been watching the guys on National Fire Radio on their Facebook and Instagram posts, and
Yep.
those guys just seem like a real hoot to hang around with.
I met Jeremy and Rob at the Fools Conference, and stand-up guys. And we talked about this last night when we were having some beers. They are the same people in person that they are on camera and on their podcast. I mean, they're legit, genuine dudes. Like Jeremy was in line at the bar at the conference, and everybody that was behind him standing in line, he bought a beer for.
They seem like guys that are in step with us, like what we want to do. We want to get in there, get in there with a hose line, put water on the fire, break stuff, and be victorious. And they seem like they're, hard charging,
They are.
go getting interior firefighter type people like we are. And
Yep.
the video a couple of weeks ago with that Pierce ladder truck when he got in there and slammed the door and said, "It's delicious in here." That's
Right.
That's when I come into the firehouse and the firehouse smells like smoke or the cab of the rig smells like smoke.
Yep.
That it makes me smile because I know that means we've been working.
Yep.
And so that's a source of pride for me. I loved how they handled the naysayer comment on there, something about it smells like the worst day of someone's life or whatever, and they totally misunderstood what.
Right.
We're not in the business of wishing people stuff to burn down,
No, but we have a job that we want to do.
we train. We want to work.
Right.
And so if your house does burn down, God forbid, we do want to be there to help.
Yep.
And we do like the smell of,
We do.
a good
It's-
job.
Yep.
So a lot of fun. They look like they're having. It's obvious from the short clips here and there that they have a lot of fun. And
Those
they're
guys are
enjoying-
crushing it. Those
they're-
guys are
they're
doing it right. They know what they're doing, and they're genuine stand-up guys. The Jason from Fire Department Chronicles, the ball guy.
Yeah. He looks
funny
like he's
as
a
all
hoot
hell.
too.
Yeah, he was imitating Jeremy. Did you see that video?
I did not.
So, oh my God! So he's standing in front of his fire truck in his station. And he starts filming. He goes, "Hi, Jeremy, National Fire Radio," and he starts doing the hands and it was Jeremy like straight out. It was awesome. So it's neat how the whole circuit is all connecting.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
and-
a networking. It's a
Right.
small world.
And talking with Jeremy and Rob, like they want, he was giving me some tips on where we could go with this podcast, and I said, "Hey, I want to sit down. I want to chat with you." That was the original plan because they were supposed to be here for Friday, and then they were going to do their bit on Sunday with the Fools. So I was like, "Hey, come Friday early. I'll set the podcast stuff up at the firehouse. We'll make it comfortable for you guys. We'll show you our trucks. We'll do a little show. Blah blah blah." Something ended up happening where they couldn't come until Saturday, which kind of sucks. But then at the same time, Joel died. So that really, the funeral for Joel was the Sunday, so they had to literally squish everything into Saturday, so we didn't really get the time to sit and chat like I wanted to, but I have his number. We text back and forth, and he knows that he's got an open invite to come next time he's up in the area. We'll sit down, we'll chat with them, and we'll show them trucks. Maybe we'll give them a ride on the La France.
Oh, I'm sure they'd love that.
I bet they would.
Open jump seats
Yep.
with no man saver bars.
Yep,
It's a real man's truck.
It sure is.
It's old school.
It sure is. Old Detroit diesel motor.
And the black smoke and the sound of that Detroit, and it's like music.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I'm glad we kept that thing.
Yeah, there's no better place in the world than to ride in that rear-facing jump seat behind the officer.
Yep.
It's awesome.
My favorite part about riding in that jump seat, I don't know why, but every time I think about it, is the damn fire extinguisher tag flapping in the wind. And you get the water can right up on it.
Yeah.
It's the top mount pump, so you got that catwalk, and that just, I don't know, for some reason, every time I think of riding backwards, I think blowing in the wind.
There's a great video on YouTube of us going to a woods fire mutual aid with that truck.
Yes.
And you were driving,
Yeah.
and now Captain Butler was in the officer's seat, and you guys picked me up.
Yeah,
so
we
I
picked
was
you up
riding
at the end of your road.
So I was riding backwards.
And you had a Domino's pizza with you.
I was eating pizza on the way down in
Domino's
the open
was
jump
literally
seat.
right across the street from the end of your road. So
It was lunchtime.
Yeah, so I don't know if you had just ordered it
Yeah,
or
I
what,
did.
but yeah.
I did. I ordered my pizza, and I think I called you guys on the radio and told you had a firefighter at the town line pick me up. So, great video on YouTube, responding with the American La France.
Yeah, and then you and I, there's another video that we took with the GoPro facing frontwards, and it was you and I. We went, when it was running. This was just before we retired it, and it was running as our second due pump for a little while.
Yeah. We went to a fire alarm activation at the church on York Street, the York Street Baptist Church.
So
that was cool.
I used that audio. I don't know if you've heard the new intro song to this podcast, but now that we are building our team and we got Nick Hamill on there, it's no longer Brotherhood Academy Radio with Nick and Paul. It's with Nick and Paul. Or
it's awesome.
So I got a hold of Shane Yoder, and I was like, hey, can you take that song that you sung for us? Can you take the vocals right out of it? He goes, yeah, I can do that. That's fine. So he resent me the file with no vocals.
Oh, cool.
So I put the audio from us responding in the La France, like just as we were leaving the station. We got the siren going and the cue and then the air horn. And then I did a voiceover. And then at the end of the voiceover, it goes into like Shane singing the last part of Brotherhood Academy Radio, blah, blah, blah. So if you haven't listened to it, you should check it out.
I will.
It's got the audio of us in old Engine 6.
That was a cool YouTube video too.
Yeah.
It's we got Nick Hamill on board with us, the third guy. That's been really nice.
He is going to provide some crazy value.
He's got a lot of value. He and I went to Firefighter 1 together, and
how many years ago was that now?
1998, so February of 98 we graduated, so it's 21 years ago that we took our Firefighter 1 together, and we've been friends ever since. And so actually found out after we had become friends that we were in the same preschool class in York many, many years ago. His family lived in York.
Mrs. Rocray?
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Rocray's on Ridge Road, New York.
Yeah.
And he was in my preschool class. So we go back maybe a little further than just the 21 years for Firefighter 1 and 2. So,
that's hilarious.
So that it turns out that he's, been friendly with you, with me almost as long as you and I have. So,
right. And he's got the motivation, he's got the knowledge, and he wants to take on a lot of topics as far as communication.
Yeah. He brings a strong background in fireground communications as a Motorola radio guru. So he's going to be a great addition to the team, and I'm certainly glad to have him aboard.
Absolutely. And he's going to help me hook up this mixer so I can do a mix minus, because honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. Him and I tried to do a test call on Skype the other night, and he could hear me. I couldn't hear him. I think I'm missing a chord. I don't know. This is easy the way it's set up now, but when you add in a mix minus, I am not the AV crew from the high school. So I don't know. He's good with that stuff, so maybe I'll have him over and we'll play with that and try to fix it so we can get some guests, because we got a good lineup of guests that want to be on the show, and people are messaging me anyway through Instagram asking to be on the show, which is awesome, because I love the outreach. I love the interest that people have. People are listening and they're getting a lot of value out of it, and they appreciate what we're doing. So that is enough motivation for me anyway, and I think for you two, for you and Nick, that we're gonna make this big. We're going to go above and beyond. We're going to branch out from podcasting. We're going to keep obviously doing the podcast, but we're going to branch out. We're going to go some other directions. I like what Jeremy is doing, Jeremy and Rob with National Fire Radio. I don't really want to copy them, but I want to model after what some of the things that they do. They're traveling around.
Yeah, the traveling looks cool.
I'd like to. I love trucks, and I know those guys love trucks. I'm going to let the trucks be their thing. But I want to visit other fire departments. I want to see how they're doing things.
Yeah, well, we could certainly bring a lot of stuff back to our department by getting out and visiting others, and that's pretty huge.
Yep. So keep that in mind, guys and girls. That if you want us, when we get into that point, it's probably going to take a little bit, but if you're local to York, Maine, if you're local to Maine and New Hampshire and pretty close by, keep us in mind. Reach out to us if you want us to come by your fire station and do a little filming, and we'll chat, and maybe we'll get that YouTube channel up and going and go that route too.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Like I say, playing an away game, and it's nice to get out, and it gives you kind of freshens your view on the fire service.
Yeah.
Getting out and about, and
sure does,
and seeing how other places do things. All the problems that we're facing as a fire service, they're not unique to any one department. We're all dealing with the same stuff. Yeah. Is that pretty much?
We're at 53 minutes.
Okay, one last thing, and this is my first time on the show since the line of duty death in Berwick of Captain Joel Barnes, and so I think that I'm sure that Nick has covered it in a couple of his solo episodes, but I think that we would be remiss if we didn't at least make mention that the Berwick, Maine Fire Department and Captain Joel Barnes, they're in our thoughts still.
Absolutely.
The fire was on March 1st. It was an apartment building, and Captain Barnes lost his life. He laid on top of his firefighter and protected his firefighter, and his firefighter survived. He did not.
His firefighter went back to the scene after he was released from the hospital.
I had heard that too. So that's a line of duty death in fighting a fire inside a fire building. It's something that hasn't happened in the state of Maine or even in the area for a long time, and it's 2 towns away from us here in York, but we know a lot of guys over there because it's a very small world here,
right.
And so our thoughts are with the Berwick Fire Department and the captain that passed away, his family, and friends. And
he was a paramedic on York Ambulance, too. So
yeah, and I recognized the face, but I couldn't place...
York Ambulance is not part of our organization. They're a private entity, but we do go on a lot of calls with them. And Joel was a per diem medic, so we don't go to many medical calls, Paul and I.
No,
but
that's
when
fine.
at an accident, I've seen him at a few car accidents. He was a stand-up medic. He was a good dude, so... It was sad, and they're definitely in our thoughts still. They have a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, we're listening to the Berwicks, and they've been busy, with incidents thus far. So I think that's probably good for them. As the South Berwick guys were very instrumental in all that, and their first fire after the fatal fire was a little tentative, and it was like Nick Hamill talked about last night when we were together. It was great to get that first fire out of the way and feel like they were kind of getting back on the horse and getting out there and doing what they're supposed to be doing. I think that's crucial to getting through one of those, is to get back out there and do what we do.
I mean, the thing is with the South Berwick guys, they're the ones, most of them that did the rescue of Joel.
They did the rescue and knocked down the fire, and sounds like they were intimately involved in it, and did a great job. And a lot of those guys, being where South Berwick is a neighboring town, we know a lot of guys there, and we work really well with them. And but anyway, I just wanted to mention that since this is my first show since that all took place.
Right.
It's a good reminder for all of us to be super careful, have your head on a swivel, eyes open.
Yep.
And
do your 360s.
360s.
Keep an eye on what the fire's doing. Take the deep breath. Work together. And again, be on the same page.
Yeah, be in step. Yeah,
because that's what's going to save your life. So I know the investigation is going to take a little bit, to find out exactly what happened. There's a lot of rumor going around. There's the YouTube videos that are out there that everybody's critiquing and slamming and stuff. And the South Berwick and Berwick guys have been told, don't even read the comments. Don't even, because it's, if you guys on here are going on YouTube and you're watching a video and you're commenting negatively on how things are being done without knowing the whole picture, You got to knock it off.
You might be part of the problem.
Absolutely. So there's another good pointer for you. So those South Berwick guys did a hell of a lot of work. There's a picture out there that's been circulating the internet that is of the rescue. The guys that are on the burnt out back porch. And Hamill told us this last night. Everyone at South Berwick are the only guys that wear black.
Yep,
So if you look at that photo, how many guys in black gear were there?
We counted six or seven or eight of them on the back porch there.
And I think Hamill's one of the guys in there.
He was on the ground.
The red leather helmet.
He was on the ground at the base of one of the ladders.
Right. So he played an instrumental part. All the South Berwick guys did, and so it's been a rough road for them. That's why we were going to have Hamill and I were going to do a show. I think you might have been in on that too. We were going to do one later that week before the fire was. We were talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not," because I'm not in the mindset,
no, I
and
know.
I totally get it, So
We had another shout out. The fatal fire was on Friday, March 1st, and that's when Captain Joel Barnes passed away. The Monday prior to that, we had a class on volunteer fire officer.
yes,
Volunteer fire officer. Full-time leadership.
Yeah,
It was done by the Pine Point Fire Training.
Roger Audette.
Yep. And
he's the chief in Augusta, Maine Fire Department.
great class. We had a lot of fun, and all those guys were there. It was like a mutual aid fire,
Right.
At the Elliott Fire Station in Elliott, Maine. That's another neighboring town for us, and
Yep.
all those guys were there. The South Berwick guys, the York Village guys, and one of the North Berwick captains. That's a friend of mine, and great bunch. It was nice to get everybody together. What I'm calling a mutual aid fire, even though it wasn't a fire, but
Right.
it was one of those times where everybody got together and it was
was good.
Nice. That was the Monday before that.
It was.
So that was a great class.
And during the fire, Roger was messaging me, checking in to see how things were going,
yeah.
and who it might have been, and what was going on. So he was knowing what was going on. He was listening. So it was good to meet him. He wants to be on a show, so he insists that he comes down and sit in the studio, aka the basement,
All right.
instead of going remotely. So he's willing to drive down from Augusta
Cool.
and sit down with us. So we got to arrange a time for that.
All right.
So that's all I've got.
All right.
I got to get the little one to a doctor's appointment. Well, I got an hour and a half, but still. She had an ear infection last week. So,
All right. We got to be close to an hour here, right? So.
oh, yeah, we're at an hour and 4 seconds.
Oh,
So,
okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming, dude.
All right.
It was good to drink some beers with you last night.
That was a ball.
Yeah.
It was good. It's been a rough week. I'm glad it's
It's over.
over-ish.
Mine's starting tonight. I go in at 11 o'clock tonight for my Monday.
Yucky.
Yeah, it's no good. No good. So, all right. Well,
All right.
thank you, everybody, and we'll be back again with some more awesome content.
Cool. Thank you all.
Friends, please join the movement by sharing this podcast and sharing our social media accounts and visiting us at brotherhoodacademyradio.com.
Brotherhood Academy Radio Podcast is brought to you by Salty Hook Media.